nobody here. I need to get information.
Got some drinking to do.
It's
Oh,
snow in the
where
morning.
you're green,
It's
you got
all
pinch.
streets. It's all gone at home. I didn't have to shovel.
See, Patrick say you gotta wear.
I got a guy that sweeps my stuff up. They told me I'm never supposed to shovel again.
They say
Oh,
that's the worst thing
okay.
for you, no matter how old.
I
It's
got
the back or
Or you're colorblind.
it's just a bad movement. Or that and no coolers out in front of you. I had a played a lot of things.
Hello. Welcome to the March 17th meeting of the City Council. It is 6 o'clock. Have our call to order, or our roll call.
Coleman,
Present.
Cullen,
Here.
DeArmond,
Here.
DeLong,
Here.
Kensinger,
Here.
Needles,
Here.
Phillips,
Here.
Preston,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
and Wagner.
Here.
Excellent. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Amen. Okay, next order of business is the acceptance of the meeting minutes from our last council meeting on March 3rd. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The minutes are approved. Add-ons, replacements, or removals, I'm not aware of any. Is nothing? Okay, we have no changes to the agenda tonight.
Dave.
No proclamations. I'm sorry. Heather?
Were we going to
I'm sorry,
change
okay.
the date on the one? Sorry, I want to find it. On ordinance 2026-030, it just says appropriation of 2025 instead of 26.
I missed that.
I'll
Okay.
Change it on
We'll
the
make
minutes.
that change, and is that a motion to approve it as amended?
Yes, please.
A second? Ms. Coleman, all those in favor of approving it with that correction, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's approved, or the minutes are approved as amended. And Nicole, I'll warn you, if you're talking and you have this thing turned on, there's a little echo in your ears.
Thank you.
All right, we're down to petitions.
Petition for annexation for Shady Grove Expedited Type 1. Received paperwork from agent for the petitioner, Phil Rooney, on March 9th. The county has already had their hearing on February 26th, and this is in Marion Township for 45.937 acres.
All right, Mr. Phillips?
I'm a couple of questions about this. Do we know who the property owner is? Is it still Scott Malloy, and is there a potential use coming for the property?
Mayor Murin?
It is my understanding that there is a developer that is in the process of acquiring it. I believe that they are the one that submitted the petition. And yes, they are looking at doing residential development is my understanding.
Mr. DeArmond?
What does expedited type 1 mean to our law director?
On the front end of things, between the petitioner and the county, it speeds things up on the front end. When we get it, since they've already approved it, then all the processes that this council or my office needs to take are all the same.
So has this been approved by the county already?
Yes.
In the township, they're all, okay.
Yep.
Revenue sharing is worked out? Or, I mean,
Mayor Murin?
It will fall under our existing revenue sharing
Okay.
agreement with Marion Township.
wow, all right.
Mr. Preston?
Do we know what type of residential we're looking at for this community?
Mayor Murin?
They have just initially talked to us, and I believe that it is upscale townhomes.
All right. Resolutions there, okay. petition to file. Public communications, we do have one tonight, and it is on the next letter, so we'll call you right after she calls up the letter. Is it a letter?
Letter from Findlay Firefighters Local 381 regarding collective bargaining agreement. It is requested to read this letter in its entirety.
Mr. Preston?
Like to request that we have this letter read, and I believe we have somebody in the audience that would be willing to read it.
Well, I have a second from Mr. Wagner. All those in favor of having it read, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay, now before we read, I don't know whether it's before or after, but we have Todd Lee. Do you want us to read the letter first, or do you want to speak to it? You can read the letter. Okay, then go ahead and read the letter.
Although most of you are new to City Council, the members of Local 381 wanted to share a story about a section in the most recent collectively bargained agreement that has already had an immediate and meaningful impact. That impact has not only been felt by Local 381 members, but by employees across the entire city organization. Bargaining is a two-way street. Over years of negotiations and labor management discussions, issues raised by both sides have been worked through and resolved. In the past, that has not always been the case. When council or an administration suggests hiring outside legal counsel to communicate and negotiate with employees, it can create the impression that city leaders are unwillingly to engage in direct, meaningful conversations with their workforce. Since 2014, the labor management relationship has strengthened significantly. Meaningful differences can now be addressed by sitting down together and having open, honest discussions. We recognize that not all past elected officials supported this approach. Some who publicly stated they support public safety also question provisions of negotiated agreements, and if given the opportunity, likely would have voted against them. This would have prolonged negotiations and increased costs to the city, all while claiming to be watching out for taxpayers and claiming to support public safety, which is contradictory. You may ask why we revisit that history. The reason is simple. Much of the important labor management work that protects employees and the public happens outside public view. Council may not always be aware of concerns firefighters have raised over the years. In some cases, those concerns could have been minimized or set aside through outside counsel. However, because we have built strong working relationships with the past two administrations, we have been able to protect not only members of Local 381, but all city employees and their families. There are still important issues to address, including staffing, but we remain hopeful that through continued collaboration, we can reach meaningful solutions. This is the single most important issue facing the delivery of emergency services and safety that this community deserves and expects. The success story. In the most recent collective bargaining agreement, Local 381 negotiated this inclusion of cancer screenings for members of the bargaining unit on a rotating 3-year cycle. The city agreed to fund screening for 25 members per year at a cost of $8,125 annually. This was new language in the agreement and represented a proactive investment in employee health. Once the agreement was ratified, members of Local 381 researched qualified providers and ultimately selected United Diagnostic Services. After selecting United Diagnostic Services, Local 381 negotiated terms to extend the same screening opportunity at the same negotiated cost, not only to bargaining unit members, but to all city employees and their spouses. Local 381 also understands that early detection saves lives and reduces the financial burden associated with prolonged treatment, lost work time, and extended care for not only families, but the city and the taxpayers. Being self-insured early intervention not only saves lives, but also claims covered by the city and employees, and ultimately the taxpayers. Screening services were scheduled and notices were sent for appointments taking place the last week of October 2025. On December 12, 2025, Local 381 received an email from a city employee expressing sincere gratitude for the opportunity to participate in the screening program along with her spouse. Her husband's scan revealed an abnormality in his kidney. They promptly scheduled an appointment with a urologist who ordered an additional CT imaging and blood work. Coincidentally, her spouse had a wellness exam scheduled that same day with her family physician. After reviewing the CT results, the physician confirmed the presence of a mass in the upper right quadrant of the kidney. When asked what prompted the imaging, they explained it was discovered during the employer-provided screening. The physician stated that kidney cancer often presents no symptoms until it reaches stage 3 or 4. All routine blood work had been normal. Without the screening, he likely would have been told, "You're healthy, see you next year." A follow-up appointment with a urologist established a surgical plan to remove part or all of the kidney. Surgery was performed on February 18th. A biopsy confirmed the mass was cancerous and the entire kidney was removed. The cancer had spread to surrounding tissue and was classified as stage 3. Chemotherapy will likely be required. Following the surgery, the employee shared these words: "We were told that if he had waited another year, the outcome would have been much different, and they would not have been able to operate on the kidney at all. We can't thank you enough for advocating that all employees and spouses be eligible to have these scans. You have given our family a gift that we can never repay for you. We are extremely grateful the cancer was detected when it was, and that family now has a path forward for treatment and recovery. This is one success story among several. A meaningful labor management relationship makes a tremendous difference in solving problems and protecting people. We share this story to express our sincere appreciation for the ability to work through important issues collaboratively without unnecessary outside interference. We believe in Findlay and further believe it is a great place to live and work because we can resolve differences and find solutions together. When we take an oath to protect our city, we take it seriously. In this case, that commitment and strong labor management relationship helped save a life." Respectfully submitted, members of Findlay Firefighters Local 381.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, would you like to make sure the microphone's on when you're up? Push the little button until you see the red light.
Can you hear me now? Good evening. Looking at me standing here this evening, you probably wouldn't have guessed, other than the letter that was just read, that 4 weeks ago, surgeons removed my right kidney. Inside was a tumor the size of a softball, one I never felt, never suspected, and one that routine medical testing never revealed. The only reason I'm standing here tonight is because of ultrasound screening program, which was offered to city employees and their spouses. And we chose to sign up, and we paid for that screening. My name is Todd Lee. I'm here with my wife, Angie. She's Chief Deputy Clerk of the Traffic Criminal Department with the Findlay Municipal Court. I have spent many years serving this community as a volunteer firefighter, a hazmat instructor, and an HVAC technician. Through my career, I've learned that early detection changes outcomes, whether responding to an emergency or diagnosing an HVAC system. Preventative maintenance saves lives, both people and equipment. Cancer doesn't discriminate. It touches nearly every family. What we know is that early detection dramatically improves survival while reducing the severity and cost of treatment. Once again, in my case, normal lab work and routine checkups did not show symptoms. An ultrasound identified a life-threatening condition that otherwise would have continued to grow silently. Today, my diagnosis is stage 3 cancer. If it had not been found now, it more than likely would have been stage 4 when it was found. The screening didn't just find a problem, it gave me a future. One that I can remain an active member of this community and have the opportunity to continue to be a part of my wife, children, and grandchildren's lives. Taking responsibility for your own health, including early detection, reduces long-term medical costs, lessens the strain on the hospital system, and helps employees remain healthy, productive members of this community. By supporting programs like the one championed by Battalion Chief Matt Cooper and the members of Local 381, this council has the opportunity to quietly save lives and strengthen the workforce that serves this city every day. I respectfully ask you to continue supporting offering ultrasound cancer screening and services to employees and spouses, such as this one that saved my life. As a first responder, I was taught that seconds save lives. This program saves lives, gives families years that they may not otherwise have. Thank you for allowing me to tell my story this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any questions, comments? No. Thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of your medical journal
Thank you.
journey. Thank you. Mayor Maron.
I know Rob probably wants to add something. I want to give him a shout out. Just again, Rob is the administrative liaison in the union negotiations, and we've been really fortunate over the last couple of years, as mentioned in the note. So I'm not going to belabor the point, but I want to say this, that relationships with our employees has paid dividends, not just in this very clear example, but avoiding arbitration, being able to avoid bringing in external counsel. And I think more importantly, on a daily basis, it really has made us a unified team across the city of Findlay. Not just the unions working in collaboration because we actually get in a room all together to start off the negotiations, but we also then have utilized the wage formula to benefit all employees within this city. But it also shows that when we're dealing with issues, our different departments think of how some things that may benefit them, how they could positively or negatively impact other city employees. And I think that that's really important. And then just on the daily operations between not just the interacting with the department heads or the supervisors or employees, but the union representatives, when issues come up and we start hearing chatter among the unions, they have full comfort level coming and speaking with Rob or myself and saying, hey, this issue is kind of bubbling, like what's going on? And being able to take that back to avoid issues as they come up, I think is, again, just really important. So I want to give Rob a shout out for his involvement in that, but I also just want to thank all of the union representatives, which I know is not something you typically hear coming from an administration, but we really have formed a good relationship where they listen to us. You know, when we tell them no, they also understand that there's a reason behind it. We're not just saying it because that's what we want to say, right? There's reasons, and they are willing to listen, and that makes a really big difference. And so I think it's something that we should be proud of, continue to make sure that we foster for decades into the future, but also recognize this point tonight. So I just wanted to put that out there again.
Mr. Martin.
Just a brief comment, if I can. We talk about preventative medicine, and it's kind of a cliche. And we talk about wellness visits on an annual basis, and we want to get ahead of things. A lot of our employees are at a high exposure risk for what they do every day. And when this was brought to the forefront, it was one of those situations where it's like, yes, we want to support this. We want to get ahead of it. And this is a great example of an individual that doesn't check all those boxes of the criteria of high exposure as an employee, but this was a difference changer. So I'm proud to be able to have this story be a success story for you and your family. So congratulations and thank you for sharing. Want to continue to celebrate the relationships that we have with the unions. They're not always, we don't always agree, and we will have those disagreements, but it's a mutual respect that we have for each other that we come to a common ground, whatever that looks like. So thank you for your support. I know this is new for you, but it was important to share this. So as we get into negotiations in the next couple of years, you'll be part of that dialogue and that conversation. So thought it was important to share this to really put our efforts forth.
Mr. Collin.
Yes, I just think we should take a look at this situation, and in it we see the fruit of what happens when people get together and they share information and they work together and they talk it out. This should be a blueprint moving forward for council and administration council and the public. It's just a real good success. I'm so glad and happy for you. And I think we should not just go, hey, good job, okay, and then move on. We should kind of take this to heart as we move forward, trying to figure everybody out now with the new council and work together to get some real good work done, because only good can come from communication. Thank you.
All right. Next. Public community. We're on.
Dave.
What?
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
I'm
Ms.
gonna-
Kensinger?
I'm going to grab a box of Kleenex.
No, I'm fine.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Reports of municipal officers and departments.
City Planning Commission agenda for March 12th, 2026, as well as the staff report of March 12th, 2026, and the minutes of February 12th, 2026.
Questions or comments? Okay, Mr. DeArmond?
Do you need a motion?
Yes,
Or-
please.
Yeah, first I ask questions or comments, but you want a motion to approve the report minutes?
To acknowledge the reports, yes.
Well, we've changed the rules, so when you vote, you're not approving.
We're acknowledging,
Or,
right?
okay, do we have a second? Mr. Phillips? All those in favor of acknowledging the report and minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, motions are acknowledged.
City Income Tax Monthly Collections Report for February 2026.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
Findlay Police Departmental Activities Report for February 2026.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Findlay Fire Department Activities Report for February 2026.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Letter from Service Safety Director Martin regarding Hancock County Combined General Health District amended contract, also known as Hancock Public Health.
Mr. DeArmond?
I wonder if the administration could tell us, how does the proposed cost compare to the current cost on this? Is this just a CPI kind of increase, or?
I'm sorry, Mr. Martin?
Okay, so how this has been structured is it's broke down based on per capita. So the city has a percentage, and then the rest is broke out through villages and townships. So
Okay.
we are, based on the population that's served, we are at a 57.2% coverage, and then the villages and the townships throughout the rest of the county are 42.5%. So that's the split.
Okay.
And this is a 3-year, this started back in 2015, and we haven't, this one's a 3-year contract for 27, 28, 29. And the language is that it increased by about approximately 5% from the previous. So that the previous contract was like 366,000 and change for the city, and approximately 5% more. Going into this one, the language is 381. So that's how it's been structured since the beginning. And the DAC comes together, they look at if that breakdown still makes sense based on the population that's being served and the cost associated with serving that population. And that was voted upon and agreed upon, and that's how it's presented.
Okay. So it's 5% with some variation due to population?
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
cool, good. Thank you.
Letter to be filed.
Treasurer's Reconciliation Report for February 2026.
Questions or comments? Report to be filed.
Letter from Service Safety Director Martin regarding City of Findlay Hancock Park District agreements and property transfers.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Kalb regarding first capital improvement appropriation of 2026.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Kalb regarding Londonderry Water Line Replacement Phase 1, project number 357-60200.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Calb regarding Walnut Street Storm Sewer Install, project number 355-52700.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
Letter from City Engineer Calb regarding 2026 Annual Sewer Lining, project number 3566100.
Questions or comments? Letter to be filed.
Summary financial reports for February 28th, 2026.
Questions, comments? Reports to be filed. Committee reports?
The Finance Committee met on March 3rd, 2026 to discuss the following. 1, introduction and presentation from Andrew Brosert, discussion on a property off Wellness Way, 99 and I-75. 2, community comment, only requests made before the meeting in writing will be recognized. 3, cannabis tax distribution from the state. And 4, comments from the city auditor regarding 2025 results. We recommend to move forward with infrastructure development and land purchase for the area near Wellness Way, I-75, County Road 99.
Questions or comments? Approval of minutes? Mr. DeArmond?
Make a motion to acknowledge the committee report?
Second, Ms. Coleman. All those in favor of the committee report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, committee report is approved. Planning and zoning.
The Planning and Zoning Committee, to whom was referred a request from Service Leaders LLC to rezone 0 Keith Parkway, lot number 570001019008 from C2 General Commercial to I1 Light Industrial. We approve the recommendation to rezone from C2 to I1. Recommend sending to council for approval.
Questions or comments? My question is, how do we go from a recommendation to a ordinance? How do we,
If we accept the committee report, we have legislation next meeting.
next week? It'll be, okay, so it'll be on the next agenda.
But we have to have.
Go ahead, Mr. Preston.
Motion to acknowledge the Planning and Zoning Committee minutes.
Mr. Cullen.
Yep.
All those in favor of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved.
The Planning and Zoning Committee, to whom was referred a request from Mike Casal on behalf of Sheets Incorporated to rezone 12100 County Road 99, recently annexed into city limits, to C2 General Commercial. We approve the recommendation to initial zoning C2 General Commercial, refer to council for final approval.
Questions or comments? Motion to approve, somebody? Mr. Preston.
Motion to acknowledge.
All right, Mr. Phillips, second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Meetings are accepted. Minutes are accepted. This echo in my ears is killing me. Go ahead.
The Planning and Zoning Committee, to whom was referred, met on February 12th, 2026 to discuss zoning code update, permitted versus conditional uses for O1, C1, C2, C3 zoning districts, administrative authority to extend site plan approval past 1 year. Please note, this is a preliminary discussion about proposed changes and is not legislation. P&Z Committee will eventually decide if the proposed changes should be brought forward for legislation. We recommend to go back to the Planning Commission for legislation.
Questions or comments? Ms. Kinzinger?
Just one clarification on this. On the notes, it said we do recommend to go to legislation, but there was actually two parts of this. There was the original permitted versus conditional uses, and then a new one about administrative authority to extend past site plan. There was two different sections. So we recommended that the first one, where we adjusted some of the conditional uses, go back for legislation. The administrative authority to extend site plan, we recommended that go back to planning and zoning to discuss again when all the members were present.
Thank you for the clarification. Mr. DeLong?
Also, during the committee, the last 5 minutes of the
Usually, Use your microphone.
The data centers were also discussed at the meeting, and currently it was told that data centers were not listed in our code, so they are not permitted in the city of Findlay. They're not a use in our code. So there's codes for everything you can think of, but data centers are not listed there. So apparently not listing, it would have to go through zoning and planning to get it listed. So currently, data centers would not be permitted in the city. But I'm also wondering about the possible of having a moratorium on data centers. I know there's been talk about cities that have been sued for having moratoriums, but what I found out is those cities that are having a problem with that are ones where the developer has already gone to zoning about this, and then the city plans a moratorium on top of it, and then they're getting sued for it. So I'm just wondering, also as a protection, if we shouldn't have a moratorium on data centers.
Mr. DeArmond.
I think that should just go back to committee and then come to council with a recommendation.
I can give some input on that, Dave.
Mr. Cullen.
Yeah, as we were discussing this, I think the esteemed gentleman behind me just wants to make sure that because it's not a zonable parcel or business, that we can't build one if we're not zoned for it. And I just think he's looking for extra protection or something. I personally feel pretty good about them not being able to build if it's not in our code. But maybe just a little more legal clarity would be good, so that everybody can go to bed at night and know that that's not going to happen. If we got to do a moratorium on top of it, fine. But if it's just good as it is, we can be more efficient. So whatever you guys say about that.
Ms. Kenzinger.
Then I'm going to recommend, we did discuss it in planning and zoning, but that go back as a point of discussion for next planning and zoning committee, and we'll talk about it there.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips.
I'm not sure who I should direct this question to. I suppose the mayor. Are you aware of any entities, whether it's the Alliance, Port Authority, or anybody even doing a feasibility study on data centers for Findlay or Hancock County? I'm just trying to gauge how hot this topic actually is, if
Mayor
you know.
Murin.
Yeah, so we have had a number of, over the last couple of years, as these have come up, data centers have reached out and said, hey, we're looking at your area, what's kind of the opinion on them? And we had taken the stance previously that we weren't interested at all because of the water consumption. That is no longer really an issue. In the city of Findlay, we still do not permit them. And so that was kind of in our stances. We wanted it to we didn't want to be a first mover on this, plus then we felt that land was better utilized for other things, especially from a municipal government standpoint, since our largest revenue is coming from the income tax piece, and they are not large job creators except for primarily during construction. The Alliance did reach out to a third-party company to put together kind of a case study, like what are the pros, what are the cons, what is the economic benefit. That's looking at the entire county. I have not seen that. I don't believe that it's been completed yet. I did actually forward to you guys earlier today something available for elected officials to get on and learn. It's one of those things where I'm talking to mayors across the country, and there's pros and cons to all of them. And so it's actually on our list of to-dos to say, okay, if we were ever interested in them, what would that look like, and how would we want to do that? When Matt had reached out to me saying that, hey, a couple of council members had reached out to him looking about doing a moratorium, I said, that's really not necessary at this point, and what I would like to do is have a larger conversation, but right now it's not a priority because they're not permitted, that I felt like our energy was spent elsewhere on this. But right now, they are not permitted in the city. It's not something that we are seeking after. I know the Alliance has been skeptical of them and is right now just kind of gaining data. So as I get more of those resources, I will certainly pass them along, especially if we do decide to have a more formal conversation of taking a stance beyond just, no, they're not permitted.
Mr. Feiner.
I would further add that I've been in discussions, this was brought to my attention by some concerned council members, and so I've been in discussions starting this week with Matt Cordonier and Jacob Mercer from Regional Planning about their thoughts and the best way to proceed. Right now, our research is showing that zoning is the best way to proceed, but they're doing further research on this, so whether it goes back to planning and zoning or we continue to kick it around informally, I think the city's on it and addressing it.
Mayor Murin?
Just one other item I would note. Pro and con on this, take it for what it is. This is just information sharing. There are small data centers that could potentially fit on existing parcels in the city. Again, not permitted. So really it's challenging. Most data centers though are looking at larger greenfield spots, which again, we don't have. And so that's another protection from the city standpoint at this point in time.
Mr. Cullen?
Pardon the cough. So, as business flows, communications are held. If somebody from the Alliance, great people, if somebody from the Alliance is talking to, or they're being, courted by different people wanting to do a data center, if they already had a clear message that council would not be into that at all, that might stop the dating process. But if they think there's a chance, then they might do that. Then we go to council, and then we go to the people, find out what the people want, and then we say we're not into it. And if you have a small one, that means you could eventually have a big one. That's just how it goes. So, is this something that we as council should discuss, reach out to our people?
I think, I just said, Councilwoman Kensinger said that they'll be discussed at planning and zoning. So shared initial information, if further discussion wants to occur, I think that's the appropriate place to just start that.
Okay, very good. And then if we decide it's not a good thing,
then we can move from there in appropriate accordance.
beautiful, thank you.
Okay, I think we're on to legislation. Well, did we, I'm not sure if we approved
No, we
your
didn't
minutes or-
approve the minute. So
I thought you clarified what we
I clarified
approved.
the difference between the two because they're kind of together and there was two
Right.
separate ones.
Okay. So I think we already approved it. We didn't. Okay, so are you motion to approve your minutes?
Motion to acknowledge
Acknowledge.
the minutes there.
Mr. Second by Mr. Wagner. All those approve of acknowledging the, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They are acknowledged. Now we're on to legislation.
Oh, Lord.
First reading for Resolution 2026, a resolution stating what services the City of Findlay, Ohio will provide to the territory proposed to be annexed to the City of Findlay, Ohio, situated in Marion Township, County of Hancock, State of Ohio, and being a part of the west half of the southeast quarter of Section 10, Township 1 North, Range 11 East, a tract of land consisting of 45.937 acres of land, more or less, hereinafter referred to as the Shady Grove Annexation.
Questions or comments? Ms. Coleman?
So, because this is the first time that I'm on city council where there's discussion of this, how do we increase budget for police, fire, anyone else who is going to be having to add additional services to this area? What kinds of questions should we be asking? What should we be looking at through that process with this parcel?
Mayor Murin?
Yeah, so a couple of things happen when a parcel is annexed. Obviously, the economic benefit or challenges of each parcel is a little bit different. With this one, currently it is, a golf course and not in really use. So the city would receive the property tax revenue. We do have a revenue sharing agreement in place with Marion Township, so they would receive their appropriate distribution. With it being developed potentially for residential, then obviously we just receive the residential benefit, whatever that may be. Similarly, if it was a corporate, we would receive. Can you make sure your microphone is off? Thank you, kind sir.
It was.
Yeah,
I coughed loudly.
It's okay.
Again, apologies.
It's okay. So when we're looking at the impact to city operations, the majority of the time, unless it is a really big development, we're not seeing a huge increase in need. What we do is we look at do we have, for example, fire stations located in an appropriate area? Do we have the ability to respond? For example, when we're talking to a large, industrial user that's looking to come here, we're looking at, are there any special suppressions that we have from a fire department? Are there equipment changes that are going to be needed? So that's kind of what we do on the backside. In a thing like this, right now, obviously, we've been talking about our challenges with police and fire specifically. On the service side, really not much change except for maybe plowing. We serve this area pretty well already. I don't expect a significant demand increase there. Additionally, probably private roads within the development. Don't know for certain, but most of the time developments like this, that's what they would do. So from a police and fire standpoint, in the next couple of years, we're going to need to increase our threshold. That's what we've been talking about. That would not really change regardless of this being in there or not. So it's really a case-by-case basis, but that's kind of the checklist that we go through on our side.
Good question, Nicole. One of the conversations I had earlier today with the administration was, do we need to put like a new water tower and get pressure out there? And the answer was no. So we can easily get flow and pressure out there. And do we need like a lift station to get sewer from that area? And the answer was no. So we're just extending the existing infrastructure, and there's no excessive cost to bring them online.
So this brings up an interesting question that I had actually asked when we did department tour. So I asked this of Dave, and he was able to give an answer, but I don't think he had thought about it before. When we obtain new property, do we have a formula that says, now that we have this, how many man hours are going to go into maintaining this? And it wasn't something that he said was in place, but I asked for a very specific example, so he was able to give one in relation to a trail. And from this distance to this distance, this is how long it would take this many men to repave it. This is how many times a year it has to happen. So I think as a city, I'm not sure where those are at as far as fire and police. When we add this many more residential streets per mile, when we add this many more residences or residents, how does this impact those services? And do we have a formula in place that says once we have 100 more, once we have 200 more, we need this many more fire personnel, we need this many more police personnel, we need to add a dispatcher. What are those numbers? Because I think we need to know them going into the next year and a half of approving things, because if we continue to approve an annexation here or a park here or this there, how are we going to pay to maintain those if we don't increase our services? So I would like some kind of a formula. I would like a breakdown from those departments and maybe from the administration as well. What do those numbers look like? So as strategic planning, we can look at those things and know where they're at and when we're reaching those thresholds. Because I don't want to put our service people stretched to the limit, and I don't want them to be at a place where they can't provide the best service because we didn't provide the best to back them up.
So we're on the same page. We talk about this frequently about when it comes to safety service expansion, density of population. Is it commercial? Is it industrial? What actually are the needs of the actual development? When it comes to residential, it's a little different, right? Because of the density of what's going in there. Is it multifamily? Is it single family? Those conversations are constantly happening. The modeling, looking forward, we know that there's opportunities to expand, but when it comes to development, now this actually is, it's on paper, right? I mean, when we talk about economic development, these projects come through, they don't catch, they move on, right? And so we give all this modeling of what it's going to look like. So we are having these conversations specifically about safety services when it comes to response. When we talk about the 10-year capital plan, there's actually a fire station that's a placeholder out there in the 10-year plan. The question becomes, the 4 stations where they're currently at, are those the right station locations, or is 4 the right number, or is it 5? Is it 4 in different locations based on our expansion and growth? So those conversations are being had. I know that CERB has some data out there that we can actually utilize to help modeling. We've already started to try to get some dates on the, when it comes to looking at schedule or staffing modeling for safety services. So I'm confident that we're going to be prepared as expansion happens with safety services. Well, now, when it comes to the service side, when you talk about, I think, confidence with the knowledge and expertise with Dave and his team, we can essentially overlay, if we have road miles within a residential area, what that looks like and what it's going to take. Is it an extra plowman? Is it, what are those resources that we need? And I think we can come up with those. Do we have a formula now? No, but I think knowing what we currently do, and you do an overlay of that, we can quickly come up with those needs as this development occurs. So confident we can come up with that and give you that information. Just because we haven't presented doesn't mean that we're not having those conversations internally. But again, until we get development really starting to turn, that's when we need to have those conversations and really start putting numbers on paper for you.
Just for the record, related to fire, those kind of developments, relatively low stress, low impact on a fire department, especially related to the occupancy that's going to go in there as compared to another Birch Haven, all under one roof, different demographics. So no real concern in my mind related to the impact it would have on fire. But as you grow, maybe we do need to have another station. But we're okay staffed the way we are. I see this just being a very minimal impact on fire, way more impactful to public works for sure.
Mayor Murin.
Yeah, we will try to formalize it a little bit more to give you some perspective on, okay, let's say this project, as an example, moves forward. Okay, they will be responsible unless we decide to participate in some way with putting the initial infrastructure in. It may be private roads within the development. They would have to, again, unless we participate in some way, put the water and sewer infrastructure in. We're going to then, though, receive the revenue offset. So typically when we start having different projects like this, we kind of put together a high-level pro forma of what does the payback period look like. On a residential development, that's a lot different than a corporation that you're having new jobs created, where we don't know, is this going to be people that are now moving, to the community, or are they going to be people that are existing already? So we can't really count on income tax revenue. So typically when we talk to our teams, it's, especially on the service side, pretty much very minimal, if any, impact on a residential or corporate development. It's really, some annual impact on kind of trails, parks, et cetera, because that takes more maintenance from the one side. And then looking at corporate, it's a different thing. So that is some stuff that we probably all have in our brain, and we sit around the table and talk through, but we can try to formalize it a little bit more. And then my final comment, which is probably what he's going to say, but maybe not, just reiterating my earlier point, is that on the safety services side, our goal has been just to get up to our staffing that we were previously targeting. Now we can talk about, okay, do we need to expand? And when we look at expanding, it is, okay, what is our daily manpower that we need to be at? Are there additional areas of the city for police that we want to be covering on a regular basis that they're not getting to regularly? What is the additional equipment cost? All of those different things that are much more challenging, or I shouldn't say more challenging. We know them, they're just way more costly, and when you take that on, it's then the recurring cost. Right now, we're in a position where we can handle existing once we get to that staffing, but it is kind of then the existing residents also would benefit from that increase, if that makes sense.
Ms. Kensinger.
And I understand that we're not talking about this particular section isn't going to require an update, but at some point we have to evaluate the cumulative effect of everything we added, right? We annexed a lot last year, going through council, looking at records. So how does that cumulatively affect us? We're talking about tonight adding part to the park district. So I know there's some of that, but after a while this begins to build. So we have to keep that in mind as council and as city going forward. We can't continue to do that without changes on the back end.
Mr. Martin.
Well, agreed. We're on the same page with that. I wanted to just bring up one point. I wasn't going to bring up safety services, but to your point, Councilman Yarmouth, the master plan and the long-term control plan that are gonna be finished up this year, they have modeling in that that'll actually help determine water flows, pressures, do we need another water tower, where's that, if we do need one, those types of things are gonna be in that modeling where we see growth happening. So I think we're getting the information we're gonna need to make good decisions.
All right. Move on to ordinances.
Third reading for ordinance number 2026-17, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Kensinger?
I move that we approve ordinance 2026-017, especially given our tour and that the bathrooms were falling apart upstairs.
Second, Ms. Smith. All those in favor, any discussion?
The only discussion, I'm sorry, Chief, the only discussion would be for clarity, for people think we just rifle through all this stuff. On our page, it says Muni Building Restroom Upgrade, but on the thing, it just says transferring funds declaring an emergency, and everybody just goes, it's emergency, everything. If you went into the bathrooms all over you would realize that there's a reasonable emergency. And in the Muni, they have like a toilet that's like, they can't stop it from leaking right now. So I just wanted to make that clarification that maybe, I don't know how to change it, but maybe as we read these things, the little things that we see, maybe we can share those on the TV with the people so they know emergencies mean something.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye after your name is called. Opposed, nay.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Cullen?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Aye.
Ms. Kensinger?
Enthusiastically aye.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
And Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Right, motion carries. The ordinance is approved.
Third reading for ordinance number 2026-22, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 913 of the codified ordinances of the City of Findlay, Ohio, entitled Shade Tree Commission and Tree Regulations, to allow for updates and revisions that reflect current standards that strengthen long-term stewardship of the City of Findlay's urban forest, thus repealing all ordinances and or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith.
Mr. DeArmond.
Kevin wants me to approve this, so I'll make a motion to approve 2026-022.
Mr. Phillips, second. Any discussion? You want to discuss it?
Yes,
Go ahead, Mr. DeArmond.
I do. He insists that I do this. So I attended the Shade Tree meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was great people that really care about trees in our canopy, and they really they're just good at what they're doing. So recently, our canopy was recorded as 817%. So I've expressed my concern about, I think this ordinance is restrictive, and I'm afraid it's going to reduce our canopy. But we were at the meeting, this guy pulls up on his cell phone Google Earth, and you can calculate right immediately what it's pretty cool technology. So over the next 5 years, 10 years, let's just make sure, I just want to raise the awareness that this canopy doesn't go from 17 to 16, it goes from 17 to 18, right? I mean, it's not going to affect in my lifetime, but certainly in some of your lifetimes, you will see the differences. So I just want to make sure that we're taking care of that. So, but I am in support of this. This ordinance is better than the one that's currently in place, so I'm in favor of it. So thank you.
I'm hoping they don't take the tree in front of your house.
I know. I know.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye after your name is called. All opposed, nay.
Mr. Cullen?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Aye.
Ms. Kensinger?
Aye.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Motion's approved, or ordinance is approved.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-27, an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 2022-78 and authorizing the mayor of the city of Findlay, Ohio to enter into an amended agreement with the Hancock County District Advisory Council to continue shared health and environmental services provided by the Hancock County Combined General Health District, currently referred to as Hancock Public Health, and declaring an emergency.
Questions or comments? All right.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-28, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and the service safety director of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to execute the necessary transfer paperwork for the transfer of a limited portion of city-owned property, being parcel number 610001018960, no longer having a purpose for the city to own.
Questions or comments? Next ordinance.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-29, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and the service safety director of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to execute the necessary transfer paperwork for the transfer of city-owned property known as Centennial Park, bearing parcel numbers 560000188800, 560000188820, and 560000920630, no longer having a purpose for the city to own.
Mr. Cullen? What?
I was waiting for you to say discussion. I'm learning. Yeah, okay, discussion. Discussion. This one and the one before it, I'm inquiring as, first of all, it's the land where the city dog pound was, and then Centennial Park. And we're going to transfer the city property to who? Since it's no longer a purpose for the city to own, somebody's gonna have to own it. Who are we transferring it to?
Mr. Martin?
These two transfers are going to the Hancock Park District. And these actually were started back in 1976 with a resolution that they had an agreement of shared use of city-owned property. They would take care of certain areas, we would take care of certain areas. They actually started running their maintenance department out of the old dog pound back in that day, and the language in it is, at whatever time that they maintained it, they've operated out of it for almost 50 years, and at a certain point, when it was agreed upon, that we would transfer that property over to them. And then there's other areas, including the Centennial Park, the same language applies. So the Park District came to us this last year, and we talked about some of the maintenance of the multi-use pass and the shelters in the Riverside Park and all these areas. And we sat down and between Public Works and the city engineer, myself, and Park District, walked through this entire model. And we are absorbing the maintenance of Riverside Park and the maintenance of the multi-use pass in other areas. They wanted these two areas to actually transfer as originally stated in 1976. There's some other areas that are city-owned property that they are going to continue to maintain along the river, Great Cardwell area along the river, overlooking Swale Park, East Point. I think those are it. And then, of course, the multi-use path around the south side of the river by the Kodak building that leads up to their actual building. So they're going to maintain those. They're still city-owned property. But these two, as we're just essentially obligating these or memorializing these agreements that were back in the day. So we're just cleaning up old legislation.
Thank you. And having lived here in 1976, and I can see that it's good that we're going to give it back to them. But with no backstory, I just didn't know the why or how of it. Thank you for explaining that to me. I think it's a great idea, and I'm sure they'll take good care of it.
Next ordinance? Sorry, Ms. Kinzinger?
I was just gonna say, if anybody else missed it, it's the letter from Director Martin. It was in the very beginning of the petition. There's a letter that details out the transfer of these and why they're happening.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-30, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to advertise for bids where required and enter into contracts for construction of various projects in accordance with the 2026 department equipment list, appropriating and transferring funds for said capital expenditures and declaring an emergency.
Mr. DeLong?
First off, on the page, it says first capital improvement appropriation of 2025, so that's wrong. It is, yeah, it is 2026.
It was a clerical error, and I will
Okay,
correct it on the
okay,
minutes.
okay. Also, this is a capital plan that the council has not seen for 2026. The next 4 items on here are actual capital plans. I would like to see as a council, the capital plan to find out what the capital plan is gonna be. I've looked at the 5-year plan, and there were 4 items just in the police department that I looked at, and comparing to what that capital plan said for 2026 in the 5-year plan, those 4 items there, it's an additional $13,000 that what was on that plan originally. So I think we've got got the cart in front of the horse on these, and I think before we decide on these, as a council, we need to see the capital plan, and we need to see that at least within the next 2 weeks.
Mayor Murin.
Thank you, Councilman DeLong, and I appreciate, yes, costs did go up from year to year. When we're putting together the plan last year and looking at those 10 years, we are doing best estimates, and unfortunately, inflation does impact those items. If you recall, at the Finance Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, we were planning to discuss the capital plan actually today, but unfortunately, given the executive time issue, that took precedence over that. So as Engineer Kalb had mentioned at that meeting, what we went ahead and did is began the process so that it can begin their readings. We now have a, 2 weeks and then an additional 2 weeks to be able to get that full document in front of you. One of the items and so that's been the delay. So we were planning to have that. We did not have the time, but as you go through it, it's pretty consistent. And like, for example, on the police cars, annually, we have tried to distribute all of our fleet over a rolling so that we're buying about 5 cars a year. So that's pretty standard. But that is why. So yes, we will be reaching out to set up a finance committee meeting in the near future, but that's why that has not yet occurred. But we did want to go ahead and start the process. We tried to focus on specific items that have to occur or that we have to, not a whole lot of discussion on them. That would be pretty problematic. But that is why we went ahead and got these in front of you tonight.
Go ahead, Mr. Kalb.
And kind of like what I was saying in the finance committee too, and the mayor was kind of hitting on that too, is how the development that we were talking about on the north side of town off of 99 there, on if it's going to be paid for cash or if it's going to be paid for debt, that has a big swing in which way capital is going to go. So yes, I have capital in front of here, but because of the timing and we're not sure if it's going to be debt, if it's going to be cash, I need to keep moving on some of these because the more time we lose, it's just going to keep pushing down the road and prices go up. So the items that are being in here, no matter which direction it's going to go, if it's going to go cash or debt or whatever is decided, those items are going to be in there no matter what. Now, I was going to present those to you guys as part of that capital plan. But what I don't want to do is come up with 2 capital plans and then all of a sudden one little tweak happens, because even $50,000 change across that sends a huge ripple effect across 10 years. So I just want to make sure that we want to make sure all that is presented, and we know for sure. I'm fully ready to present whatever you guys want to see on how that's going to be handled cash wise. But there is a lot of money that's in limbo on that. So that's why you haven't seen it, but I don't expect this to be passed. But like the mayor was saying, we have it out there. If you guys go through the capital plan and say you don't want to see any of that, well, then you can deny this, but I want to make sure that we are still moving forwards with a lot of stuff.
Mr. Phillips.
Mayor, real quick question about the police vehicles. The $70,000, is that completely outfitted, light bars and everything?
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. DeArmond.
So do you need the Casto decision final before you give us a capital plan?
Mayor Murin.
So the projects that we're going to need to do are not going to change a ton. There would be some, as you guys recall, that we would maybe push back to be able to make it work if we were doing cash. What we are now working on is, after follow up to our last finance committee meeting, Mr. Brossert had, I think he had mentioned it in the meeting, that we may want to look at actually doing debt on not the Casto, but on our other capital expenditures, pay cash for the Casto item, but then do a larger debt issuance on some of these other projects. So right now, what we are working on is, we've looked at the capital plan for the next couple of years and said what things may make sense to take debt on so that we would get more favorable rates than doing it for a development. So now we're working the next couple of days to kind of put that together, then work with the auditor to determine what those options look like. Once we have that, then we will be coming back to Finance Committee. So yes, we'll need an additional decision to really get the full capital plan approved, but there's obviously a number of decisions that we have to work through on the backside to have something to formally bring to you guys. And on the police vehicles, I would also just mention that we use a state contract on those so that we get better pricing.
Mr. DeArmond.
Is there part of the capital plan that isn't going to change that we could start reviewing before
The ones in front of you tonight.
the ones in front of us tonight? Oh,
So-
this- Okay.
So, like, I know you guys only approved the 2026 or the current fiscal year plan, but the thing is how we use this 10-year capital plan. It is a long-term plan for us to be using. So I don't want to give you guys and say, okay, we haven't decided what we're going to do with Casto. Here's 2026, and then all of a sudden you see 2027 from this book to this book and say, well, why is it totally different? I mean, we use this as, it's my pretty much Bible that I'm using every day on this and writing through. So I want to make sure that when I present it to you guys, I feel comfortable with the 10 years and I'm going to be able to use it year after year. So it doesn't really have a huge effect on 26, but it sends the ripple effect from 27 on. So I want to make sure the information you guys are looking at through that book, because I'm at 270 pages right now on across everything with all descriptions and stuff. So if I'm going to be putting that much effort and we're going to be putting that much time and effort into it, I want to make sure it's going to be easily read throughout the next 10 years.
Next ordinance.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-31, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Preston.
Being that we are in a time crunch on this, I would like to make a motion that we suspend council rules and give this its second and third reading this evening.
Second by Ms. Coleman. All those in favor of suspending the rules, say aye after name is called. Opposed, nay.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Nay.
Ms. Kenzinger?
Aye.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Collin?
Aye.
Okay, rules are suspended. It'll go to second and third reading.
Ordinance number 2026-31, ordinance number 2026-31.
Discussion, we have a motion. Mr. Preston.
Motion to approve ordinance 2026-031.
All right, and a second by Mr. Wagner. All those in favor say aye after your name is called. Opposed, nay.
Mr. DeLong?
Nay.
Ms. Kenzinger?
Aye.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Collin?
Aye.
And Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 26-31 is approved.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-32, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Preston.
For same reasoning, I would like to make a motion to suspend council rules this evening and give this ordinance its second and third reading.
Second by Ms. Coleman. All those in favor of giving it the second, or suspending the rules, say aye after your name is called, and opposed, nay.
Ms. Kenzinger?
Aye.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Collin?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Nay.
Motion's approved. Ordinance will get its second and third reading.
Ordinance number 2026-32, ordinance number 2026-32.
Mr. Collin.
For the same reason that I said aye on the Londonderry water line replacement phase 1, I also think that the Walnut Street storm sewer install is also of equal importance, and that is why we're declaring our emergencies. I'm just giving these things a name again. and I think it's important. So that's the only thing I wanted to bring to light.
Ms. Coleman,
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2026-32.
Mr. Needles, second. All those in favor, say aye after your name is called. Opposed, nay.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Collin?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Nay.
Ms. Kenzinger?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 26-32 is approved.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-33, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Coleman,
I'll make a motion that we suspend our rules for this ordinance and give it its second and third reading.
second. Mr. Preston, all those in favor of suspending the rules, say aye after your name is called. Opposed, nay.
Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Collin?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Nay.
Ms. Kenzinger?
Aye.
And Mr. Needles?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The ordinance will get its second and third reading.
Ordinance number 2026-33. Ordinance number 2026-33.
Ms. Kenzinger,
Because this is the annual sewer lining, and we do this every year on sections of sewer, and it needs completed, and I would say our city needs it done, I'm going to make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-033.
and a second by Mr. Wagner. All those in favor say aye after your name is called. Opposed, nay.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Collin?
Aye for sewers.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Mr. DeLong?
Aye.
Ms. Kenzinger?
Aye.
Mr. Needles?
Aye.
And Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Ordinance 26-33 is approved.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-34. An ordinance designating South Corey Street in the city of Findlay between West Main Cross Street and West Crawford Street as a restricted access corridor for emergency vehicles, government operations, deliveries, and other necessary services of the city and county buildings located in this corridor.
Discussion?
First reading for ordinance number 2026-35, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer to engage in plans and any necessary alley vacation for the relocation of a United States Postal Service mailbox at the free flow of traffic and parking utilization in the area represented by attached conceptual design exhibit A.
Any discussion? Mr. DeLong?
Have we received the approval from the United States Post Office that they will move it
Mr.
according to that diagram?
Yep, so I met with them last week out on site, show them this, I guess if you want to call it Plan B, what we called in the meeting of what you guys have in the pocket, or in the packet. Show them they're in agreement with it, so they are good on our end.
Is that just local, or is that more than local?
That is more than local, so before we even started the whole diagram of that, they ran it up their chain. They didn't have any problems, so talking with the local postmaster, they are good with it.
All right, next ordinance.
First reading for ordinance number 2026-36, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 761 of the City of Findlay, Ohio Codified Ordinances entitled Taxi Cabs to allow for updates and revisions that modernize and simplify the City of Findlay, Ohio Codified Ordinances to better suit the needs of the community, thus repealing all ordinances and/or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith.
Any discussion? All right, unfinished business? Mr. Preston?
I just wanted to acknowledge that at our last council meeting here, it was matter of the time clock was referred to the Finance Committee. Just wanted to give a quick update that we did hold that meeting to discuss the software and its usage and implementation this morning. We did not have time to get that into tonight's packet. But just wanted to give everybody an update that there will be 2 recommendations coming to council for potential legislation that we will be working with the law director on. in order to assist in making sure that the administration can work with their department heads in getting this implemented in a way that the auditor's office can properly use it in an efficient manner. So just wanted to update everybody that we are making headway on this, and the council should see resolutions soon with all hopes in that direction.
Other discussion? Mr. DeArmond?
Different topic, but,
Okay.
so I just wanted to take a minute to apologize to some folks that I think I offended. So 2 weeks ago at the last council meeting, I was expressing my frustration with the implementation of the new timekeeping system. I was making a comparison between salaried workers that don't necessarily keep a structured schedule or place of work versus hourly workers that keep a consistent schedule at a consistent location. I referred to it, to the hourly workers as factory workers. And it came across in a derogatory and condescending way. I just want to apologize for that. I didn't mean it to come across that way, and I just want to say I'm sorry for those that I offended. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeArmond. Any other unfinished business? New business? Mr. Collin?
I just wanted to bring it to council's attention that, you know, we all felt it from all angles, the dashboard scenario, you know, and those that yell loudest are usually listened to. And I had it coming from a handful of people that saying they did not want to do it for reasons that I did not at all agree with, but it rolled as it rolled. Now, I've got a silent majority. I've received no less than 5 handwritten letters. People still do that. Sent here to council, wanting council to assure them that we can either talk with our local police enforcement or create a city ordinance where they will not take part in any ICE maneuvers. And I had one of the letters says, let's make them take off their mask or whatever. But I mean, I don't know how far we can reach into a situation like that. I just want to make council aware of the fact that there are many, many, many people that are not fans of it, and they want people to be treated with respect. And what can I tell my constituents? I'm not even sure these letters are from my constituents, but what can we say to them to make them rest easy that you know, Findlay PD won't be lining up arm in arm with ICE and taking people down? What do we got?
Mayor Murin?
Yeah, so I have had folks reach out to me as well on both sides of the coin. And so I would just point them back to my statement that was released a month or so ago. You know, our local police department are not federal agents. We are not equipped to do that job. We don't have the appropriate funding to do that job. We have a very different focus. So as I stated then, and continues to be our structure, is we will ensure that the peace is kept in our community. That means protecting people that are residents here, as well as ensuring that ICE officers doing their job are also protected. So the way that our team would involve ourselves in a situation like that is the same that we would do currently with any federal agent. So it is not uncommon for FBI or DEA or ATF to come into our community and operate. They typically contact us, they give us a heads up on what their operation is going to be. If it is an extensive operation, they will sit down and coordinate with our officers in advance, and we provide just kind of perimeter support to ensure that it is safe for them, as well as keeping the public safe as a barrier between whatever that situation is. That is the same way that we would approach any ICE involvement in our community. We continue to reach out both at the state and federal level to government, as well as our ICE contacts, to just reiterate that if they are going to do any work in our community, that we want to be informed so that we can ensure that they are safe, as well as that the due process is followed and that people are safe in our community. Because the last thing that we want is ICE to be doing their job, getting a criminal out of our community, them show up, but us to not be notified. We get a call into dispatch that there are people running through backyards with masks and guns, and our officers are showing up to that situation as if there is an active threat from the other law enforcement agency. So that is typically how it works. That continues to be our stance. At this point in time, we have heard nothing from federal or local ICE that they are planning any actions in our community, and we will act accordingly. So I appreciate the concerns. I agree with the overall intent of the actions that need to be taken to keep our community safe by federal immigration enforcement. I also have concerns with some of the tactics that are being used, and understand the concerns, but I would say that I have full faith in our local law enforcement to make sure that they do their focus of keeping the peace and protecting individuals doing their jobs as well as people here in our community legally.
Thank you. I think if they're watching this, they'll appreciate that. People are fearful, and if somebody's a criminal, I'll line up right with anybody and get them out of here, right? But they're just fearful and they need more information, and hopefully, if it ever goes this way, they will contact, because that would be horrible to have local law enforcement be called 911 and now you got cops on cops with guns. It's just not a good thing.
So I was actually in DC last Monday at meetings, and Tom Holman, the border czar, who is now in charge of kind of immigration enforcement in the U.S., was actually there about this far away from me. So we had a really good conversation, and I think that they're making some really positive changes that will make sure that they're able to do their jobs and keep people safe and act appropriately in communities.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Coleman.
I would like to give a shout out to the IT people. So IT people are in the background. A lot of people may not think about what a big job it was with this many new council at the same time, a lot of transition that they had to deal with. And then add to it that 2 of us have hearing aids and could use some assistance in here. And that's what Dave was talking about, just in case anyone is wondering, why was he talking about the echo? It's because we have access now in our hearing aids to everything that is happening on the microphone. So if someone can make sure that that word gets back to the IT team, I really appreciate all the help with getting emails and everything set up, but also that was, in my opinion, a little above and beyond, and I appreciate it.
Mayor Murin.
I will certainly do that. A couple of just quick updates. As you know, I always try to use this to just kind of throw a couple things that you may be interested in. 2 items. One, the Community Action Commission, which is a local organization that oversees Head Start. They help with different housing programs, all sorts of things in our community, is looking to actually add an additional elected official onto their board. I do not have the capacity, and so I am asking if any of you are interested in serving on that. I can get you more information. Please reach out, and I'd be happy to pass that along to you. Next, Community Action Commission is actually the one that applied this, but they manage HATS. And as you may recall, the prior city council authorized $125,000 a year for 5 years to support HAT's application for microtransit. They have received notification that they were awarded the grant. That brings in $2.8 million of state and federal dollars to support transit in the county. That is both $2.3 million towards just their operations, as well as then additional funds for capital improvements. It is my understanding that that then supports the implementation plan for the microtransit, which they then should be rolling out that implementation plan later this year, with the hopes that then the actual microtransit system would be up and running early next year. So I will keep you posted, but that is how collaboration with the county, community foundation, business partners, and the city has helped bring in local, state, and federal taxpayer dollars back to our community. So I just want to reiterate that and give them a shout out. The final item is on a solemn note, but I just thought it was important to recognize the Ohio Air National Guardsmen that were lost in Operation Epic Fury. Captain Seth Koval, Captain Curtis Angst, and Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons. Obviously, war is not ever a pretty thing, and sacrifices have to be made, but definitely wanted to recognize all of the men and women that we've already lost, but certainly those folks that are locally impacted. And as you go out, the flags are lowered to half-mast in recognition of their sacrifice.
Mr. Stasiak.
Thank you. Real quick, we are knee-deep in audit season, and that's always a busy time for our office. But one of the things the auditors are always asking us for are for copies of your certificates when you finish your ethics, your records, and your open meetings training. So when you do that, please get those certificates to us. And if that's a reminder, I apologize to remind you twice, but they'll harp on me even more. So I look forward to getting those from you. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Kensinger,
Motion to adjourn.
second, Mr. DeLong. All in favor, sigh.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion is, meeting is adjourned.